Hey there, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Night Sky this week for May 3rd, 2021. This week we've got another jam-packed week, as we always do with beautiful things, and we're going to dive in right now. And here we have the sky for Monday, May 3rd, just at sunset. And I want you to look at specifically is you'll see at the lower part of the sky where the sun has set, that's not actually the sun. You can see that is planet Venus. So Venus is joining our evening time sky. So this is a kind of a tricky one to see. But what you need is a really nice clear view towards the western sky, low down to the horizon. I've got this one set up with this virtual sky setting that is really clear. It's by a bay. It's near San Francisco in this case. It's just an imaginary location there. It doesn't matter. It could be wherever you are in the world, but the idea is that you'll see Venus very close to the horizon, kind of drawing away from the sun now. And as the days go on this week, you'll see more of Venus really beautifully positioned. And joining it is another planet, little Mercury. Now, Mercury is usually quite a challenging little planet to see. It's one of the 5 naked eye classical planets, and it's considered the most difficult to see, the most challenging, because it's never far away from the sun. It's the closest planet to the sun. And of course, if you look at this, you'd go, well, if it's the closest planet, how come it appears farther away from the sun? Remember, the sun is below the horizon here, and you've got Mercury farther away from the sun. Now, what's actually happening if we magically kind of go into the orbital view? Here we go. We're going to be looking at what these planets look like if we could magically go and view this above what we call the plane of the solar system. So you can see the little tracks of the planets there. I'm moving farther out, and now you get to see the sun. There we go, and there's Venus. So here we are above the plane of the solar system, all the tracks of the planets. There's Earth here, Earth's track. There's Mars, and there is Venus, and here is Mercury, and there is the sun. These are stars in the background, so don't worry about those. But look where we are in comparison. If I move a little bit farther out, look at that. There's Earth. You can see on the left-hand side. So if we kind of imagine we're stuck on this little blue marble, right? And we're looking towards the sun. And if the sun has set, we'll see Mercury, right? This is how we'll see it. We'll see Mercury and Venus in the sky. But look which from our vantage point here, imagine looking from Earth, which planet, Mercury, Venus, will appear closer to the sun from our vantage point? Well, of course, Venus does in this case. You see why it looks like. Now, this is sort of just to help you understand why the planets look the way they do in our skies currently. Right now, this week, when you go out and you look towards the western sky after sunset, you'll see Venus and Mercury. And just look at that. Mercury is farther away from the sun than Venus is from our apparent view. Not physically, right? Not physically. Mercury is closer to the sun than Venus is, but from our line of sight, it just appears as if Mercury has pulled away farther than Venus. So getting back to our home view in our skies, magically going back, there we are. There's Venus, just above where the sun has set, and then there's Mercury. So that explains those, and these 2 planets will become better visible, and we'll actually have an encounter later this month. So I will return to that in another episode. But if we make this sky a little bit darker, let's see, I'll go by the hour. Here we go. And what I want you to notice is our friend Mars is still visible in the sky, and will be playing a part later this month in a beautiful conjunction with the moon. So it's just making you aware that Mars is still there, but it's much fainter than it's been over the last few months. It's been fading away because Mars is getting farther and farther away from Earth. In fact, right now, Mars is 306 million kilometers away. It takes 17 minutes for the radio signals from the rover on Mars to reach us here on Earth. 17 minutes, so it's quite far away. So keep that in mind. That's why Mars appears so faint. But if we get this sky a little darker, what's really nice is if we zoom out, you'll see that there is in the evening skies, we do not have the moon anywhere. The moon is gone. It's visible in the early morning skies, and I will get back to that very quickly. But what I wanted to kind of show you is some real and beautiful deep sky gems. So if we make the skies a little darker tonight, say around 9, 10, or 11 o'clock at night, local time, wherever you are, and we find the Big Dipper in the northwestern sky. It's right now kind of hanging upside down. You see Ursa Minor and Ursa Major. Ursa Major is, of course, the big bear. Ursa Minor is the little bear. There we go. Let's just go closer. There's Ursa Major, and of course, the little Ursa Minor is over here. But what's neat is that if we look at the Big Dipper, there's the handle of the Dipper, and there is the bowl of the Big Dipper. If we would take the handle, let me just switch this around. There we go. And we would draw an imaginary line around the handle of the Big Dipper. So you're going to, next clear night sky, try this out. You're going to take that handle of the Big Dipper and continue drawing that imaginary arc out to the next brightest star. And you will reach what's called Arcturus. Now, Arcturus is the lead star, or the brightest star, in the constellation Bootes. Okay? And that constellation is fairly evident. It looks like a ice cream cone or a giant kite. You can see them marked out by these stars where you can see my cursor going around. The bottom of the ice cream cone is marked by Arcturus, this beautiful yellow orangey star. It's quite visible, even under suburban skies, and it's about 36 light years away from Earth. So it takes 36 years for the light to reach us from Arcturus. Now, what's neat about this place is this is where we have some deep sky objects. And one particular one I want you to take a look for is what we call a globular cluster. It's, again, a beautiful cluster of stars, hundreds of thousands, in fact, all bunched up together. And in this case, it's called M3 for Messier 3. That's again from our French astronomer Charles Messier in the 1700s in his catalog of 110 beautiful deep sky objects. Number 3 on his list is this globular cluster that's 33,000 light years away. This is what it looks like through a backyard telescope. This is a photograph, so it's much brighter than what you would see. Imagine a fainter version of this, and under high magnification, this is what you can see. It's an absolutely beautiful city of stars. That's what it is. 33,000 light years away. Imagine that's how long the light has taken to reach us from this beautiful city of stars. It's ball shaped. It's approximately 80 light years across, and it contains literally hundreds of thousands of stars. And we know a few hundred of these kind of cities of stars, these globular clusters, but this one is one of the brightest ones in the sky. And it makes an easy kind of triangular shape with one of the other stars in the cone of this ice cream cone that you have out there. You can see here the stars that make up that cone, and with the one that's brightest above Arcturus, it makes kind of like a triangle shape. So with binoculars, you'll see a faint little fuzzy cotton ball where M3 is. Now, I'll put a star chart for this so that you'll be able to use that to guide you in finding M3. Now, this area is filled with other really beautiful stuff. There's no doubt, but M3 is a pretty bright one, an easy one to even pick off with binoculars. It looked like I said, a faint little cotton ball. Now, if we widen this view back up again and we see where the handle is of the Big Dipper, so what we've done, remember, we've gone through this handle of the Big Dipper, drew an imaginary line continuing down to the next brightest star called Arcturus. Now you can continue that line through Arcturus to the next brightest star, which is this beautiful blue gem in the constellation Virgo. So this one's called Spica. And Spica is much farther away than Arcturus up here. Spica, while Arcturus is 36 light years away, Spica is 250 light years away, and yet it shines almost as bright as Arcturus. What does that mean? That means it must be a powerhouse of a star. Indeed, it shines hundreds of times brighter than our own sun. It is a giant blue star, and it marks the Virgo, the Maiden constellation, the brightest member. The other stars in Virgo are fairly faint. There's not many bright stars in this part of the sky, but there are a lot of beautiful deep sky objects here as well. And so one of the other ones that are absolutely amazing for telescopes, for those of you that do have a small backyard telescope, one I can recommend finding is the Sombrero Galaxy. It's a spiral galaxy that is 28 million light years away. And here's a beautiful photograph. Look at that. So what you're looking at is a spiral galaxy almost edge on. And you can see this beautiful dark band cutting right across the central core of this galaxy. And that is filled with gas and dust. And this is where within a galaxy, stars are born in some of these clouds. Massive clouds, probably stretching more than 80,000 light years across here. And we're looking back in time, millions of years. When you're seeing this galaxy through a telescope, you're looking 28 million years back in time. And that is where the Sombrero Galaxy is, just off to the side of Spica, that brilliant blue star, which acts as a wonderful guidepost for finding it. And another star below it in Corvus, the Crow. This little guy over here is also a naked eye star. You can see that Spica and this little bright star is all, right in between it in that line. Just off center of that line is where Sombrero Galaxy lies. Now, this is star hopping, what we're talking about here, by drawing imaginary lines between stars and helping, which helps us really to find these beautiful objects like the Sombrero Galaxy. So I want you to check that out. What about the meteor shower this week? Well, let's not forget, we've got the Eta Aquarid meteor shower peaking on the night of May 5th into May 6th. So Wednesday night into Thursday is when you want to see the Eta Aquarid. So let's just put that in here. And we're going to go show you where the center of this is. There we go. So the source of this shower appears to come from its namesake constellation Aquarius, Eta Aquarids. That's where the name Aquarids comes from, is from its home constellation. What do I mean by the home constellation of a meteor shower? Well, if you trace back the individual streaks of light of any meteor shower, they appear to all radiate out from one part of the sky. The reason for that, by the way, is that Earth is slamming into a cloud of debris. And when the Earth turns on its axis, when you enter into the deepest part of the night is when you are facing that cloud of debris. So it appears to all kind of radiate out from one location, as you can see in this animation. So the Eta Aquarids all seem to radiate out from the Aquarius constellation, and that rises very late in the night, in the actually early morning hours. So this week, anytime you go out, it comes out from that part of the sky. Now, what I want you to look at is you've got, of course, the moon here. We'll get back to that in a minute, but really we're going to set this off to the 5th and the 6th now. The moon is gone, so don't worry about that. Oops, I've gone a little too far. There we go. So what I want you to see here is that you'll see the moon. If you get up early in the morning, say about 3 o'clock in the morning, the moon, crescent moon, will be rising as well. You see how close the moon is to the radiant of the Eta Aquarids, which means it's not a good time to see the Eta Aquarids. It would normally be, I'd say, go out when the radiant of the shower, Aquarius, is rising in your sky. But because the crescent moon is there, the best time is earlier in the evening. So my suggestion is to catch some of the best part of the shower. I would go out around late night, Wednesday night, around 11 o'clock, midnight, local time, wherever you are. I don't care where you are in the earth, around 11 o'clock or midnight, your local time, Wednesday night. If you can, or if you prefer, you can go out a little bit later, and those few hours really will be the best. So the moon will rise, I would say around 3 o'clock in the morning on Thursday. So by that time, I wouldn't go out, wouldn't watch any more meteors because of the glow from the moon. It'll blind you, and it'll really block out a lot of the fainter meteors. Now, how many can you expect? Well, you can expect, depending on your location, where you are in terms of the Earth, in terms of your city size, and if you have any lights around you, somewhere between 10 and 50 shooting stars per hour is what you can expect with the Eta Aquarids. Now, what's very cool about the Eta Aquarids is, where do these little sand grain sized particles that are slamming into the Earth and burning up, where do they come from? They actually originate from Halley's Comet. Halley's Comet is the most famous short period comet. It's the only one that's visible regularly in a human lifetime twice. It comes around every 75, 76 years. Comet Halley was last time visible from Earth in 1986. But every time that the comet Halley comes around the Earth, it sheds material. So I'm saying all this particles, it's made of mostly ice and dust. That's what Halley's Comet is mostly made out of. And as it gets close to the sun every 76 years, it starts melting the outer surface, and things start falling off. Little bits and pieces of the comet are shed behind it and are left behind in a train or a stream of clouds of this little particles. And that's what Earth slams into every year. It's not the comet. The comet won't be back until, I think, 2061 or something like that, 76 years after 1986. So it's about 2061 approximately that it'll be back again. So we don't have to wait for Halley's Comet to see bits and pieces of it. You can go out this Wednesday night into Thursday morning and actually see bits and pieces of Halley's Comet raining down above our heads. It's really incredible. So that's the most easiest thing to actually see. You don't need telescopes or binoculars, but go out around 11 o'clock, midnight, Wednesday night into Thursday morning, maybe until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. That's your window to see the best part of the Eta Aquarids. And be prepared. Some of these meteors will last for a few seconds. They're known to, Eta Aquarids are known to be long-lasting meteor streaks. Most of them go off and disappear in a fraction of a second. But some Eta Aquarid meteors last for a few seconds. So they're very pretty to watch. Highly recommend Eta Aquarids. Visible all around the world. No binoculars or telescope. Try to find a spot with no lights around. Turn down your porch lights if you have a backyard. Get out to the countryside if you can, to a dark location with no light pollution, and you'll see most of these beautiful Eta Aquarid meteors, bits and pieces of Halley's Comet. How cool is that? So that's the story behind those particular meteors. But I wanted to also show you another early morning. If you're up early morning, what you can see. It's a pretty neat kind of effect. If we kind of go into the morning, Tuesday morning, May 4th, I want you to look at this. This is what you'll be able to see. Just a beautiful sight of the moon wedged in between Saturn and Jupiter right there. That's Jupiter. And you'll see the moon. It's a crescent moon, or I should say a quarter moon. Just a beautiful sight. Again, this is Tuesday morning, May 4th is when the moon is wedged in between Jupiter, and this is at dawn. You can go up a half hour to an hour before your local sunrise Tuesday morning, May 4th, and then May 5th. Watch this. May 5th, if we go another day forward, you'll see Jupiter now dominating over the moon. Beautiful sight. You'll see Neptune over here, but remember, Neptune is only visible through binoculars, very large binoculars, and a telescope you'll need for that. But this will knock your eyes out. It's absolutely a beautiful sight, seeing the moon and Jupiter, at dawn. Just a gorgeous sight. You don't want to miss it. And if you have a small telescope, remember, you can see the rings of Saturn and you can see some of the moons of Jupiter. Just a beautiful sight you don't want to miss. Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, half hour to an hour before your local sunrise. So I think that's it, guys. I'll put up sky charts for all of this. If you haven't seen it, I've posted the best skywatching events that I've chosen in a small little video on YouTube for the month of May. So you can mark your calendar for all of these things. I've mentioned these events that we talked about today on that video as well. I'll put a link to it below so you don't miss. And please, if you like these videos I put out every week, please do show your support by subscribing to my YouTube and Facebook channels and sharing the videos with your friends and family. Let's get more people out under the stars. It's a great hobby. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a beautiful week, and I hope you all have clear skies. Bye-bye.